Joe Biden has been sworn in as the 46th President of the United States in a ceremony on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., the very place stormed by supporters of Donald Trump just a fortnight ago. And with that violence still fresh in people's minds, there was unprecedented security and far fewer people than usual because of the pandemic. Well, the new president declared that democracy had prevailed, and he pledged to defend the Constitution while urging Americans to overcome their differences in the search for unity. At Mr. Biden's side, his Vice President, Kamala Harris, the first woman, the first black American, and the first person of South Asian descent to hold the nation's second highest office. Conspicuous by his absence was the outgoing president, Donald Trump, who'd flown to Florida earlier in the day while promising his fans to be back in some form. We'll be looking at the new president's agenda and what it means for US relations with the rest of the world. But we start with the events of the day with our North America editor, John Sopel.
Hugh, Donald Trump left the White House for the last time this morning. After that, an army of cleaners went in to spruce the place up. And then about an hour ago, Joe Biden arrived with his own broom to sweep away a lot of the Trump-era policies. The change is going to be profound. So far, so normal.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States.
This is what America does every 4 years. But everything about today was exceptional given the last 2 weeks, given the pandemic, given the security situation, given the presidency that was ending. At first glance, the west front of the Capitol looks much as it always does on Inauguration Day. But look the other way towards the Washington Monument, and the normal forest of people has been replaced by a garden of flags. A socially distanced inauguration for a nation tearing itself apart.
And repeat after me.
The oath of office taken by the man who's now tasked with healing the nation's wounds.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
The platform where he stood 2 weeks ago was the staging post for the assault on Congress. Then the mob ruled. Today, democracy had come through, but it was a close-run thing.
We've learned again that democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
He warned America was in the midst of a winter of peril, and has any new president had to confront such an array of problems: COVID, economic turbulence, racial unrest, and the passions inflamed by Donald Trump's insistence that the election was stolen.
Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this: bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
Joe Biden never mentioned Donald Trump by name, but it was a firm repudiation of all that he stood for, though he was careful to reach out to the former president's supporters.
We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts.
At 78 years old, Joe Biden becomes the oldest man to become president. But the real history is being made by his deputy Kamala Harris, the first woman vice president, the first of black and Indian heritage, an example of the American dream.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Though COVID has brought drabness, this inauguration had sparkle, with Lady Gaga, complete with gold microphone, singing the national anthem.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming.
And Jennifer Lopez too. The political good and great were out in force. 3 former presidents were in attendance, Republican and Democrat. And former Vice President Mike Pence was there as well, choosing the inauguration over a rival attraction a few miles away. And that's because Donald Trump had decided to break with 150 years of tradition and snub Joe Biden. Normally, the outgoing president meets the successor at the front door and rides with him to the Capitol. But Mr. Trump was slipping out the back, still incapable of accepting that he lost the election. Though the former reality TV host turned film director to try to orchestrate his own departure. He awarded himself a military send-off, complete with 21-gun salute, and his parting shot will have delighted his supporters and horrified his detractors.
A goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form.
And the music was spot on as he flew off on Air Force One for the last time.
It was my way.
By the time now ex-President Trump arrived in Florida, Melania had gone from somber black to beach club chic. Never comfortable in Washington, she might find the transformation a whole lot easier than her husband. Joe Biden is now in the White House and he wants to hit the ground running. There'll be a flurry of executive orders to reverse a lot of Trump-era policies. But policies always change with a new president. What will be so different is the manner of governing. Crazy Town is likely to be replaced by Dullsville. But maybe that's what America needs right now. John Sopel, BBC News, Washington.